It's Bill Krackomberger and Rosalie Michaels on the Wise Kracks Sports Betting Podcast by WSN.com.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to the the inaugural episode of Wise Kracks. Wise Kracks, we are going to talk all about sports betting, and I am really, really excited because we get to learn from the best of the best, Mr. Bill Krackomberger.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is our inaugural episode. Real happy about this. I've been approached to do some podcasts before. This is the right place for it, though. And let me just tell you, I've been gambling and betting on sports professionally for 25 plus years. And, I'm on different platforms, but I really am looking forward to this one, my own podcast, of course, with you as my co-host. I'm really happy, Rosalie. And, a brief summary of the show is what the show is going to be about. We're going to be about educating sports bettors with real actionable advice. Every week, we'll take a deep dive into the key sports betting concepts, strategies, and some different things for the viewers that they're never going to get anywhere else let's just face it, from a winning sports bettor. So we're also going to have some special guests. I have some really good people lined up from the sports and the gambling world.
Yeah, and you know what? I realized I didn't actually introduce myself. I was so busy introducing you that I forgot to tell everyone that I am Rosalie Michaels. I'm also known as the Fantasy Girl, and I know a lot about fantasy sports, but I've been wanting to learn more about sports betting. So I am very, very excited to learn from you and to grow with you along with our audience, right? And get better in this genre.
Well, one thing I usually that I've been seeing a lot of is people that have podcasts and talk about things on shows or whatever it may be that don't gamble for a living. I have to be honest with you. It comes from real experience of a gambler, how to win and lose and how to take losing the right way. And, it's all the different things I've done in my life. Listen, I started out as a losing sports bettor, 100%. We all do. We start out by losing gambler. And, especially where I'm from back east, we have a tendency automatically when we lose, we don't want to go home a loser. It's not good to go home a loser. So what do we do?
Nobody likes a loser, Bill.
Of course. So what's the natural human instinct that we do? We chase. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for chasing, by the end of the night, we're trying to just say, hey, let me just get even and I'll go home. If it wasn't for that, I can tell you right now, these brick and mortar casinos in Vegas and around the country, around the world would not be built.
Yeah. Well, isn't it also too when you do get the big win, right? Then you love that feeling of winning and you want more of it.
I'm a grinder though. I have to be honest with you. I'm a total grinder. There's no emotion to my game. There is none of that big win. A couple of years ago, I had a really big win about 10 years ago. For me and my team, we won a contest out here in Vegas at the M when they first opened up the M Resort. We won $500,000. Now it sounds like, wow, it's unbelievable to win that kind of money.
Yeah,
it was literally going back to work the next day. As we know, that money just went into the bankroll, and we just kept betting our percentage of bankroll every day. And like I said, there is no emotion. To be honest with you, unbelievably, I don't even watch many of the games. Though I do enjoy watching. The golf was on this week. I do enjoy watching a little golf. I enjoy watching some baseball, which we're not going to get to do right now. And I will watch the NFL games. My buddies are always coming in Vegas on the weekends. And sure enough, what do they want to do? They want to watch the game, drink some beers. So I'll go down to the Westgate or downtown to the Circa or South Point and hang out with them and watch some games. But there's no emotional aspect of it to me. I'm not going to scream and yell. Everyone else is yelling around me. I'm not ever yelling. I'm just staying the same.
I'm a yeller, Krack. I am a yeller.
You're normal. There's nothing wrong with that. You're normal. But as long as it doesn't take over, at the end of the night, if you're yelling and upset and you say, I got to get my money back. There's a Sunday night game to play. I got to play it. Well, a guy like me, and trust me, I'm not the only one. There's a lot of professional gamblers that make money betting sports. But we have more of a sense of, hey, there's another game tomorrow. There's another set of games next week. If there's no mathematical edge, then I'm not betting it just to bet it just because it's on TV.
Yeah, then that's a great thing. That's what myself and the audience will get to learn from you throughout this podcast, right? How to manage your betting so that you are giving yourself the edge, just like in blackjack or craps or, some of the other types of betting. That's how you get the edge, right? Is by doing some of these things that we'll talk about a little bit later throughout our podcast season, if you will.
Yes. Bankroll management is the key to everything, though. I know it's an overblown word, but bankroll management is the key to everything. You have to bet a percentage of your bankroll. Now, being an East Coast guy, I know my friends come out from New York and Jersey. I know what they do. They come out here with $5,000. They're betting 1,000 a game, 500 a game, which is 10% of your bankroll. It's way wrong. You have to bet like literally 2% of your bankroll per bet. So if you have a $10,000 bankroll, literally you're betting $200 a game. And as your bankroll grows, your bet size will grow. It's hard to do for a lot of people. That money burns a hole in their pocket. But hey, I always say this too. If you're looking to have fun, you're looking to enjoy yourself, you want to just come in town, you're working every week, you're getting a nice check, you want to have fun, bet what you want. But if you want to do this as a professional to make money long term, you have to go by bankroll management.
And that goes into one of our segments each week, which we'll start right now. That's the educational segment, right? You're going to teach everyone your approach to sports betting. We're going to learn more in detail more of that. So what are some of the big things we can look forward to besides bankroll management? Just brief synopsis of what those might be.
Well, it's not only you have to have, this is very, very, very important, and most people don't do it. But I'm trying to educate people on this, so let's do it. You have to have a separate bankroll. Very important, too. When I say bankroll management, I don't mean you just come to Vegas with so much money, and that money is going to be mixed up with your bankroll management, your out-to-drink management, you're headed out to a strip club or something and partying. That money does not get involved there. You have to take a certain allotted bankroll just for betting sports, just for maybe even doing your gambling if you're betting advantage gambling, meaning, if you know, blackjack card counting or something like that. There's some advantage video poker plays in town too, or across all the different casinos. So that's also important. Not to go in, if you're going to do this professionally, you want to have a separate bankroll that has nothing to do with paying your rent, paying your mortgage, paying your food bill. That money is just to be kept for sports betting. And trust me, Rosalie, I started out with $1,000. I was working 2 jobs. I literally, listen, like I said, I came from a very blue collar area, very blue collar background. I gambled my whole life when I was a kid. I literally started out with $1,000 25 years ago, about 27 years ago. I sent $500 to 2 different sports books offshore, one in Jamaica and one in England. So that's where they were at the time, these 2. And they all of a sudden, I actually learned how to do some middling and scalping, which is betting both ways. It's kind of like day trading, but it's day trading for sports. And this is before the internet. This is before the Don Best screen, which is a real advantage screen for us professionals. And I just built up a bankroll from there. It was the key of knowing indicators in the market.
Fantastic. So I like how you equate it to day trading, because I've been doing that since we've been in the lockdown era, right? So find something to do with your time when you're not out and about. So I'm with you. I'm going to make some money day trading. So I'm interested in hearing more about how those philosophies come together. So looking forward to seeing that. So let's talk a little bit too about, speaking of the pandemic and how people have change things, the current events, that's another segment we're going to cover each week. This is an unusual time that we're living in right now. And the pandemic, obviously, on sports betting has really changed things. How has it changed things for you?
Well, there's been nothing going on. I'm not one of those guys out there that's betting on ping pong, Russian tennis, or darts and
I'm not looking to right?
Esports. Listen, I have my own opinion on esports. Maybe I shouldn't give it right now. But a lot of these games that are played a couple of days ahead of time, and then they're going to be shown on TV and stuff. I'm not on the inside. So if I'm on the inside, it's something different. I need to know. I have to have something where I can go historically under a back-tested method. I can't just dive right in something new because a pandemic hit and start gambling, because that's what I actually would be doing, gambling. And I'm kind of known as the gambler who gambles without gambling, to be honest with you, if that makes any sense.
Like it. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let me just tell you, we could do a little recap real quick of what's going on in the sports betting world. NBA has announced that they're going to be starting to play games in Orlando, which I look forward to. No fans though, and 22 teams will play 8 games, and that's going to run to playoffs till October. NCAA football, by the way, that's what I love. I've been doing really well at college sports my whole life. That's where the money seems to be made. Though on NBA totals this year, I've been doing very well. Collegiate sports.
Before you move on to that, college sports. So you have an app, Krack Wins, right?
Yes.
You have an app, which and people out there definitely make sure you download the Krack Wins app. It's available on both Apple and Google Play, and you get full access inside the world of my buddy Krack with his weekly picks, along with great betting strategies, tips, insider content. And so you talk about these things on.
I do. I write an article every week, talking about the different things that's going on, and not only bankroll management, but also my guide to Vegas. I have a guide to Vegas of what things to do in Vegas and stuff on my app. So it's crackwins.com or Crackwins app in the App Store for sure. But thanks. Let's go back. NCAA football. I was saying we do really well with NCAA football and NCAA basketball, but also NBA totals this year, golf matchups. But let's look at the current landscape. So NCAA football, they have. They will really depend on what the individual conferences and universities decide. So, are the students coming back for fall semester? A lot of the state schools now in California said they're not going to. So the teams like Fresno State, San Diego State, which by the way are good betting schools. You could bet on these conferences. They're not going to be coming back right away. So of course the NFL put blinders on and they're all systems go. There's too much money to be made in the NFL.
I think they're trying to change some stuff. They're talking about not having fans at the games, which is smart. That they're putting an undue level of insecurity if they do have fans at the game. So that they are, but it is. I was listening today, and they were talking specifically about they're going into training camp and they're starting to have players start to arrive at the facilities and how to keep the players healthy when they're working out on top of each other. So it is interesting to see how that changes.
It is. Here in Vegas, I see the Raiders I think they're all systems go too. They're trying to get the fans in the stadiums though, from what I hear, from what I read, and the people I know in the industry. They want fans. It's the primetime opening game for them. I think it's week 2, and they want fans in the stands. So we'll see what happens here. Going on to Major League Baseball. And it's a mess. It's a mess. They're like the most tone deaf out of all these leagues. The players' union's been going back and forth for weeks, exchanging proposals for the season. And meanwhile, it's us fans who lose out because let me tell you something. They had a big chance to be on a big stage here when no one else was. There's nothing else going on. They could have been front and center here starting in a week or two. They would really have a chance to prove themselves in front of the fans and to get a bigger fan base because nothing else will be going on. So let's face it, it's millionaires and battling billionaires and their cut of the money. Well, that doesn't sit well with the American consumer. So I don't like what's going on in baseball at all.
Yeah, you're right, though. You're absolutely right, because they could have taken advantage of an opportunity because baseball viewership is way down from where it used to be, right? It used to be America's game. It's really not anymore. And it could have been a great opportunity for them to get those fans, because if people are watching esports, and I know I do a lot of work with DraftKings and as an analyst for them. And I know that they're doing analysts of esports for football. And so it's amazing what people want to watch. They've been doing analysts, they've been doing games and fantasy games of 90 Day Fiance. Yeah. So there were other things that took advantage of the situation. It was surprising that baseball didn't.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I was reading some articles. Let me tell you, I can't get behind something if I'm not fully for it. If that makes any sense. A little more street terms there. Sorry.
Yeah.
WSN and WSN.com, they have some really interesting articles on a variety of sports, from soccer, UFC, NFL Week 1. And I'll tell you, I was actually a little shocked when I went there and seen all the articles. They had 10 articles yesterday up, 10 different articles. Today, I think they have 6 different ones up. So There's a lot of unique information there on WSN. And also, I love how they have each state you can click on to find out which sports books are there and what bonuses are going on. So I'm all for that, by the way. A big part of my making money is, let's just call it what it is. They call it bonus whoring. You're getting to different sports books and you sign up with different apps and they give you bonuses. So when I'm in New Jersey, I have right now 11 apps in New Jersey funded. What that means, I have 11 different sets of lines, and I have 11 different sports books that I have money in. Well, every one of those sports books gave me something for going in, whether it be $50 or some of them. Right now, if you click on the Jersey link on WSN app, there is thousands of dollars between all those sports books that they're giving away.
Wow.
One, I think it's that DraftKings is giving $1,000. There's two other sites they're giving $500 each, $500 bets, free bets. So it's a giant part of making money. Just like in the beginning when I was betting offshore back 25 years ago, it's happening again. It didn't happen, by the way, until legislation passed and New Jersey opened up sports betting. Now, everywhere you sign up, they're looking to buy business. I'm all about being a customer and buying and them buying me, because the bonuses, the promotions they send you, it's a big part of advantage betting and advantage gambling.
Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about that, because I like bonus whoring. First of all, love the term. And secondly, I love me some free money. So I can't wait till we learn more about that in coming weeks. But then let's move on to our next segment, which will normally be the special guest segment. And so we will have guests coming up and some really exciting guests. But today, we're each other's guests.
Right.
So I want to learn a little bit more about you, like where you came from, how you started, like where did this start? What's the impetus of the Krack system?
Yeah. Listen, I grew up in a small boardwalk town on the East Coast, Kingsburg, New Jersey. It was a rite of passage to gamble where I came from. A lot of the East Coast towns, not just my town, New York, North Jersey, Central Jersey. However, most people are suckers, like I was in the beginning. So I learned from hanging around some older guys, I learned blackjack card counting at a young age, where Atlantic City was like the place to go. But I was underage, just like everyone else, underage. I was in Atlantic City at 16. So,
my first time gambling was in Atlantic City playing blackjack. I was 20.
Right.
But I looked like I was 14.
Yeah, you were underage.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we all did that. So, but I actually learned that, we used to play in our, I lived about 2 hours north of Atlantic City. So we used to play in our garage head-to-head blackjack. Now, what that means is I deal, then you deal, and you're dealing to the bottom of the deck. Well, it's real simple. You only have one deck. There's 4 aces in the deck. You can just keep track of aces to know when the aces come out, because you get 3 to 2 on blackjack.
Yeah.
And also, as I learned some advanced systems back then, and my cousin took me to a card counting school up in North Jersey, Elizabeth, New Jersey, I learned that the 5 is a positive card. This is something that 99% of our viewers are never going to hear about anywhere else. The 5 is the best card out there for the player. So the more 5s instead of aces, the better it is. So it's more advanced, but so I learned.
We're getting a little blackjack knowledge here too, not just sports betting.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I always tell every time I do a reporter interviews me or anything, I had someone from the New York Post recently. I said, go to any casino you want. I'll stand behind you and I'll just tap you when you should bet more. Give it 2 hours. We'll be thrown out of here.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the stuff that gets you thrown out, right?
Yeah, they back you off. They don't throw you out of the casino. They say, your play is not welcomed in blackjack. And if you say why, sometimes you'll get a shift manager or something say, you're just a little bit too good. A little bit too good for us. Yeah. So anyway, I was not only playing blackjack, but then I was also learning sports betting. And I always wanted to be on, this is after trials and tribulations here. I always realized that I want to be on the bookmaker's side, because the bookmakers win. So I always wanted to be on even though I never booked a game in my life, I was never an agent for a sports book. I was never a bookie in my life. But I knew that the public loves to bet. Like back then, it was even more prevalent than now, favorites and overs. So automatically, I let the public come in and push up the line with the local bookmaker. A lot of times, they would automatically keep it high. Even now, the Square sports books here in town, Stations, Will Hill, Coast, Maybe even not so much the New Jersey books like DraftKings and FanDuel. They follow the offshore line, which is a sharper line. Whereas the books here in Vegas, it seems like the squarer shops automatically inflate the lines. Well, you're going to get an extra half a point here and there. If you're betting against, Super Bowl champ every year, you bet against Kansas City Chiefs, you're going to find an extra half a point at one of these sports books here. You're going to find an extra half a point on the total, also on the under on a lot of the games. It just matters when you bet the game. So I have a screen that shows me all the live lines from every casino in Las Vegas, and I get to see those indicators in the market and real-time odds. So that's just one little advantage.
And so these are some of the things that you learned, and then again, that we're going to be sharing with our audience throughout this season. And so, but I want to learn a little bit more about Krack the man. Krack the man, like you're married, you've got, how many kids do you have? Do they gamble as well? That kind of thing. No kids?
Yeah, no kids. Just a little dog. He's our son.
What's his name?
Little buddy. Charlie. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Charlie's the dog I lost. I've had 3 in my life. I had Willie, Charlie, and now I have Louie. And they're all the same, little Yorkies. My wife likes little Yorkies.
I grew up raising Yorkies.
Wow.
We used to breed them. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not easy when I'm back east driving around. I keep a car back there, so it's not easy when I'm driving back east in my big truck and a little 3.5 pound dog on my shoulder. I got the hat, the sunglasses, and then the dog, and people are just like, "Wow, what is that?"
They think they're much bigger than they are, though.
Oh yeah, he rules the house. Absolutely
right.
Rules the house, and anyone that didn't see him behind the door would think he's a much bigger dog than he is. So yeah, but myself personally, I've been with my wife since high school. We've been together for 34 years, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's my best friend. If I didn't have her, I don't know what I'd do. She keeps me level, and we're squares too. I shouldn't say squares. We don't go out, and she knows what it is here. I can't we can't go on the weekend on a Friday or Saturday night and go partying or on the strip. Our friends come into town. They think, oh my God, Vegas, Krack, come on out. It's not what I do. Saturday morning, I'm up 6 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, looking for edges on games and betting my games. So I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do a drug. I'm not a party guy. So, I mean, listen, of course, when we were younger, we did that when we were kids. We grew up. You want to have parties and, or you want to make money. In my business, I understand. All my friends drink. The friends have drinks and wine or whatever it may be. I just don't choose to do that.
I'm all about the beverages.
Yeah, no
all about the beverages. When you said earlier, you were talking about, your drink fund. I'm like, what is that? I just drink until the money's gone.
Yeah. Well, one good thing though for people that do drink, which are most people, come to Vegas. Make sure you go to one of the bars. Mm-hmm. Here's an advantage play. Why pay $10 for a drink when you could throw a $10 bill in a video poker machine, play $1.25 a hand or $2.50 a hand? Video poker has such a low hold. It only holds on average, 3, 4, 5%, not even less than that, 3%, 4%. So, don't play after you get your drink. Make sure you give the bartender a couple bucks. By the way, I love all these guides, these tip guides that say you tip $1 per drink or $1 per bag when you're checking in a hotel. That's the same article from 1985. It's 2020. So you make sure you give the guys a couple bucks. I'm all about tipping. My whole life is based on taking care of others and making sure the average guy gets taken care of, because for many, many years, I was that guy. I worked on tips when I was younger, so I know what it's like. So,
well, and you know what? You're still doing it too. You're giving people tips right here on our podcast of how to be better sports bettors, or if they're just starting out, right? It's people are going to learn from me as somebody that's just starting out, and they're going to learn if they've been betting for a while. They are going to learn from you as well. So it's pretty exciting.
Right. Just to finish that real quick, always give the tip up front. They don't know you. Give $2, $3 up front to the bartender. Hey, this is for you. I'm playing here, and that's it. As long as you're getting that tip, trust me, you're getting the drink for free.
Exactly. So, well, I've been married now 4 years. I just celebrated my 4-year anniversary yesterday. So I'll be looking to you for those types of tips too. Although it's, my husband, he's pretty good. I'm married to somebody who does a national TV show, And so we work in the same type of business. So that's really, really helpful.
Does he gamble?
No, he does not like to gamble. It's funny. My husband doesn't like football and does not like to gamble. So we've got different personalities. He's a big camper guy, motorcycle guy, likes to go camping on the weekends. So being in front of a TV watching games goes against his wanderlust to get out there and
wow. But he does like some sports. Does he like watching NFL a little bit?
Yeah,
okay,
he'll watch Cardinals games with me here in Arizona. And so he is a Cardinals fan, so he'll watch those with me, but I finally got him into fantasy football. And so he hates losing though. So
this is not for him then. Absolutely. And your only allegiance should be your bankroll too. You got to forget about the Arizona Cardinals and Arizona Diamondbacks and any Arizona team. If you're going to bet serious money and you're going to bet seriously, you have to be able to bet against those same teams. You know that you're fan favorites of. That goes out the door. I was a Mets and a Yankees fan. No more.
No more. Now I've heard you say you're a bankroll fan, right?
Yeah. My allegiance is to my bankroll. Absolutely. And most professional gamblers are. There's a lot of guys that can't bet against certain teams. Yeah. And this business is not for them. Keep it on a social level. People go out to eat. People go out to dinner. They go out to the movies. They go out on vacations, and they're having fun. They're going to gamble their money away too. Well, that's fine. Bet on who you want. But if you want to do this seriously, those allegiances go out the door. The only allegiance, again, for the third time, to your bankroll.
Well, it's true. It's funny because there is some similarity there because as a fantasy analyst, I work with DraftKings. I have my own podcast that deals just with fantasy football specifically. And we talk a bit about sports betting with DraftKings, but not to your extent. And for me, I always say, don't be a homer when it comes to fantasy. You can't be a homer. If you look at my fantasy football teams, if the player is the right pick at the right time during the draft, then I will take them. It doesn't matter who they're on. Right now, the one team that I have, I don't have a Cardinal or a Cowboy on either of those. Grew up a Cowboys fan. Sorry, I know that probably hurts your heart as a Northeast, as a New Jersey guy, but grew up a Cowboys fan, and I don't have any of them on my team or any of the Cardinals, just because not that I didn't like any of them, but they just didn't land. It didn't make sense. It wasn't the right pick at that time. And that goes to your strategy as well, right? Yeah,
great. That's unbelievable to hear that, because you always want your favorite player on the Cowboys or the Cardinals, and you're not doing that. It is fantastic. And just a little bit about DraftKings too. I was a little tough on DraftKings in the beginning when they first came to Jersey, because they kept lowering my bet limits to so little bit of money. But I'll tell you one thing. I was there again 2 years in a row for the Super Bowl. I went to Jersey. Even though I live in Vegas, there's better betting opportunities in New Jersey for the Super Bowl. So I fly out there, and I literally just sit down and make myself a home right in the resorts in Atlantic City, which had DraftKings there. And they have the greatest kiosks. It's the thing of the future. And some of these sports books really should learn from them. And some of them are. I noticed down at the South Point, there was a couple kiosks. Kiosk betting is the way to go. You let the customer go in. They're not intimidated at all in front of a clerk. You sit down at the DraftKings kiosk, and you just put your bills in, and it's trial and error. You see what you're doing. You mess. It's so easy after a while. It gets to be like typing or something. It really gets to be simple. So I'll just tell you, like I said, I was tough on them in the beginning. Yeah. Well, this is the second Super Bowl in a row. I think I bet about over $30,000 with DraftKings this year. So that goes to show you, they offer so much more props. The East Coast books in general, not just DraftKings, FanDuel, PointsBet. These places are offering so many more ways to bet on NFL games, on primetime games especially. There's so many proposition bets compared to the casinos out in Vegas. Listen, here's what's going to happen. Eventually, these places are going to be in Vegas. That will make these places in town here offer more. Now, granted, they've offered more and more. The Westgate's offered a ton of props, Circa, a ton of props. They are offering props here, but nothing like the DraftKings, FanDuel, New Jersey, PointsBet, all those books.
And so you mentioned, that's great. And you mentioned earlier the WSN site where our viewers can see all of that information and see where these are. And you said it goes state by state, which is fantastic. So
nobody does that. It's a great idea. I mean, when I seen it, I was actually like, I told my buddy, I said, I'm going to be doing this podcast with WSN. I went and looked at the site, and I was like, this is amazing. I can't believe no one has thought of this idea you just click on each state, and it shows you the sports books there and the bonuses, which is very important. So, yeah. And, I was very impressed with WSN. So.
Well, and you told me earlier too, that you really respected the writing on it in the articles and in the blogs and stuff. You really respected the writing, which is a big deal coming from somebody like you.
Yeah, I mean, look, they had an article yesterday. You can click on football and you can find the article. And yesterday's article on the first week of NFL with some recaps for a lot of the games of what's going to happen. I shouldn't say recap. It's actually showing what they think is going to happen. And then it was the odds from DraftKings on every game. And that's another thing you should look at. Make sure I noticed it on the site. It says -110 each way.
Yeah.
You have to play with sports books that charge $1.10 each way. When they first came into the country, a lot of these Euro books that came into New Jersey, they were charging like $1.14 each way. I know it sounds like nothing. It's only a little 4 more cents, but those 4 cents add up. So, you have to, every 25 games, it could be, you could be a free bet. So play with the books that are -$1.10. Play with the books that have the booster bets. By the way, I have friends back in Jersey that literally, it's only a small bet, but I understand they only give you $25 or $50 limits. But some of the boosters they offer. Now, when I say booster, what that means is, let's say you're parlay team A and B. Well, normally that'll pay 13 to 5. Well, if you parlay team A and B with us up to $50, with us meaning one of the sports books, well, instead of 13 to 5, they're going to pay you 14.5 to 5. So they're going to give you a little bonus booster bet just to get a little taste, the little taste of the medicine there. Get in with sports betting with them, and they're going to give you a little bonus is what they're giving you. So not only are they giving you bonus money, they're giving you booster bets, and that's across the country. You can just check there on WSN for those sites.
For those sites. So that it's funny. What you just did was kind of a little booster for our audience right now. You gave them a little bonus there, because we are going to get deeper and deeper into this. But let's move to our next and final segment that's each week. And that will be what people, it's the money shot, right? It's the picks and plays. This is where you're going to really kind of give people some idea of what they should be looking at each week. Now, right now, like we've mentioned, it's kind of dry out there, right? There's not a whole heck of a lot. So tell me, what are you seeing right now?
Well, right now you only have like some golf going on, which, by the way, this tournament this weekend was full packed. 18 of the top 20 golfers in the world. And I noticed some live wagering. So I was looking on some different sites, and I seen some live wagering also. But I did bet some golf tournament matchups, about 4 or 5 of them this weekend. And that's the only thing I really see right now. I see soccer and stuff, but it's just so hard to keep track of all these different soccer things. I don't really mess with that at all. What I could tell you is, like I actually looked today only, and I haven't told anyone this yet. This is going to be the first time. For my, well, even usually I have a giant Twitter following, so I try to help the Twitter followers. So I haven't even told them this. I noticed the first game in the NFL, prime time, Thursday night football, Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs playing the Houston Texans. So now the Texans are playing 10-point dog, and it's a high total. It's like 56.
Yeah. That
tells me right away, there should be no 56s the first week. That may not be for a few weeks, a total that high.
Even with the Chiefs in Houston, which are just historically the very high-scoring
teams. Yes. Let me tell you something.
The Houston
defense.
Even
go up. it may even go up, though, because the public's going to come into town. They're going to, and not even into town, all over the place. There'll be the sports books, and they're going to bet nothing else but KC and over, or just KC just over. Well, there's something, again, this is the part I haven't really talked about. There's kind of a semi-correlation here, a correlated parlay for me. I'll be looking forward to betting under in this game. I can tell you that alone. Not so much Houston, but I'll be looking forward to bet that under. If I can get 57, which is a key number, by the way. There are key numbers in the NFL. Divisible. 37 used to be the keyest number. Games on 37. And when I say key numbers, because, you score 3 or 7. That's the normal score. You're 3 or 7. So you add them up, and they come to certain numbers. They come 23, 30, 37, 40. There's different numbers that can be involved there. So I'll be looking forward to probably betting the under in this game. But I'm going to wait close to game time. I'm sure the public money will come in there. These sports books have no choice but to let the public money come in, and that they raise the line. That's what they do. They pump the line up. They have no choice. They're looking for two-way action on a lot of games. They're looking to take a little side, but when sometimes they're overloaded on one side, they're forced to move the number up to certain sports books that are really juicy for a guy like me.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm listening to you and I hear certain terms that I'm going to have to learn more about. Like when you say it's overloaded and the parlays, I understand what a parlay is, but I want to learn more about what that means. And of course, we're not going to have time to do it today, but people can always find out with the information on your app, right?
Yeah, and normally a parlay is a sucker bet. Let me tell you, teasers and parlays are sucker bets. I tell you to stay away from them. But let's do it maybe next show or the show as football season comes closer. I'll be telling you the advantage ways to bet teasers and parlays. That no one really talks about the parlay one that I said, the correlation there. And I didn't really get into that, though. But let me just tell you, if that first game happens like the way I'm looking at it, I'm looking to bet a little correlation there. So what correlation means is if you're going to bet the favorite, you bet the over. If you bet the underdog, you take the under. It's just a little bit of semi-correlated. And it's not so much pro NFL. Usually it's college games or first halves. But we're going to see what's going to happen when we get closer to game time there.
Well, I am intrigued. I love learning about this kind of stuff and the strategy behind it. So I am intrigued to be a better sports bettor. I know the audience out there is too. And I feel like I am in the best hands. I am so thankful for you and so excited to get my bankroll rolling this year. Yeah,
we're gonna show you guys how to just if you want to be a professional, how to take that money and try to build it up. Like I said, you're going to be betting small at first, but by the end of the season, you'll be betting more money because your bankroll will go up. So your percentage of bankroll will be a larger amount to be a professional.
Quick question before we close out this episode. Do you ever get the verklempt like from bets, or is it just the system? You stick to the system and you do your thing.
Listen, I have to stick to the system that has made me millions of dollars over the years, just to be honest with you. Yeah. I know what it takes to be a winning sports bettor, and I know what to do and what not to do. So I stick to exactly the basic fundamentals that I was taught. I was taught by some of the best guys in the world, maybe the best guy in the world. And that may be, if I could talk about it, which I probably could, I'll have to get permission from him. That may be an episode.
Another episode.
That may be an episode one of these days.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a nice little guest appearance. I'm not.
Yeah, we're gonna have some really good. I look forward to having some really, including a PGA Tour caddy that's out there on the course today. He's been caddying 30 years. We're gonna have him on here with us because we could really get some good information from a caddy that knows the pulse of the course and the pulse of what's going on out there with the PGA Tour players.
Fantastic. Well, Krack, you know what? We cracked off our first episode. That's it for this week. And so looking forward to next week and learning a little bit more about the strategy and see how the week goes for you. So I'm excited. I hope you are too.
Good. Excellent. Great job, Rosalie. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, guys. And guys and girls, appreciate it.
Yeah, make sure you, of course, follow WSN on Twitter. Follow Krack on Twitter. Bill, what's your Twitter name so that everybody can follow you?
At Bill KrackMan with a K on Twitter and crackwins.com and KrackWins app.
Yep. And I'm at Rosalie Michaels. I can't give you any sports betting knowledge, but I can definitely give you fantasy football knowledge. And I'm kind of sassy on there too. So we have a good time. And of course, don't forget to follow WSN on Twitter, as well as download the KrackWins app. Until then, we'll see you next week, everybody.